parable of two people. And one of them, he was given the riches of this world as a gift. And all that he had, it was spent in a month until he had nothing left. And to the other, he didn't have much in life. He didn't have anything at all. But he was given a grain of rice that was promised to double each and every single day that it would multiply. And he didn't have much, but he held on to what he had. He held on to that grain of rice. And on day one, it was just one grain of rice, but on day two, it was 2 grains of rice. On day 3, it was 4 grains of rice. On day 4, it was 8 grains of rice. And on day 5, it was 16 grains of rice. On day 6, it was 32 grains of rice. It was 64 grains of rice. On day 7, 128 grains of rice. On day 8, 250 grains of rice. On day 9, and 500 grains of rice on day 10. On day 11, he had 1,000 grains of rice. On day 12, he had 2,000 grains of rice. On day 13, he had 4,000 grains of rice. On day 14, he had 8,000 grains of rice. On day 15, he had 16,000 grains of rice. 32,000 grains of rice. On day 16, 64,000 grains of rice. On day 17, 128,000 grains of rice. On day 18, on day 19, 250,000 grains of rice. And 500,000 grains of rice on day 20. On day 21, 1,000,000 grains of rice. 1,000,000 grains of rice on day 21. That started off as 1 grain of rice. But it didn't stop there. Because when God blesses you, he blesses you continually. This is the law of multiplication. On day 22, he had 2,000,000 grains of rice. On day 23, he had 4,000,000 grains of rice. On day 24, he had 8,000,000 grains of rice. On day 25, 16,000,000 grains of rice, 32,000,000 grains of rice. On day 26, 64,000,000 grains of rice. On day 27, 128,000,000 grains of rice. On day 28, on day 29, 250,000,000 grains of rice. And 500,000,000 grains of rice on day 30. And on the last day of the month, on day 31, 1,000,000,000 grains of rice. So where he and his children and his children's children to the 5th and 6th and 7th generation would never hunger again. Hold on to what you have. The faith of a seed. And you know one thing about rice, rice doesn't grow on trees like apples and oranges. You can't plant rice and grow it, and it'll come out of a vine like tomatoes and like grapes. Rice only grows in swamps, in marshes, in floods, in waters, in muddy places, in dark places. That's the only place that rice can be harvested. Nothing else can grow there. You can't plant an apple tree in the marshes that you harvest rice in. So when you look at your circumstances and you're wondering why, don't compare yourself to the apples and oranges. Don't compare yourself to the deceitfulness of riches of this world. For God has given you something precious. And if you have faith in it, there's a promise of fruitfulness. There's a promise of multiplication in your life. The Lord will multiply the blessing upon your life, as numerous as the grains of sand in the sea and the stars in the sky. God promises that to your seed. and to the seed of your seed, and to the seed of your seed. The mustard seed starts off as not much at all, but when it finally comes into its season, it turns into one of the greatest in all of the gardens of earth. The faith of the seed.